What up? I didn't even know I was live. I looked up and I was like, are we live yet? Oh, there we go. All right, so let me go ahead and get everything set up and we will be going live. Your boy is tired, man. Your boy is tired. I've been doing good. I'm another pound down. Actually, a pound and some change. So we're going to be talking about stuff in that regard. I'm going to fix my freaking hair, man. Look a little crazy. I'm telling you, I'm tired, which is a good thing. It is a good thing. I do got to say, I do declare, God, going live on all these different platforms is really stressful. But we'll go live here. We'll go live here. And then we'll go live right over here. We'll start live stream with one of these famous burps. There we go. All right. Welcome, fam. I hope you guys are having a fantastic freaking Thursday. Another day. Your boy's tired, right? I talked to my clients about this yesterday. I am freaking exhausted. It all just comes down to the fact that I've been doing good. And I told my clients this yesterday. We did a whole live stream on this, or training rather. But one thing you guys got to understand when you're getting into any kind of fitness game is that when you're doing this process, guys, you need to expect to be tired, right? Because if you're in a calorie deficit, if you're training every day, if you're tracking your calories every day, like these are all things that are going to dictate you being lower energy, right? And you're going to be tired. In order for you to burn body fat, you must be tired. It's a sacrifice that must happen. Otherwise, you're just not going to burn body fat. I mean, that's how it works. Calories are a unit of energy, right? And so that's some stuff that we got to make sure we understand. And that being said, I also need to make sure I'm covering the other side of the spectrum with that, right? I need to make sure I'm talking to you guys about refeed days, not cheat days, okay? There's a difference. They're very subtle differences. I say subtle, but it's stuff that you guys probably wouldn't do unless I told you to do it, right? So I want to make sure you guys are very clear on what needs to get done when it comes down to refeed days. So what are refeed days? What's the difference between a refeed day and a cheat day? A refeed day is basically like a cheat day. You use it for the same idea, right? Roughly it depends on how aggressive you're attacking your fitness goals, right? Like if you're trying to burn 2 pounds a week, you need to push them back. It doesn't mean you don't have refeed days, guys. Because the problem is if you don't include these refeed days, these higher calorie days, these days when you're eating higher calories than your maintenance calories, which is going to put you out of a calorie deficit, which means you won't be burning fat that day. You may, in fact, actually gain just a little bit of fat that day, which is okay in the long term, right? That's what this is. Now, what most people do is they do a refeed or they do a cheat day, which means they typically don't track their calories. They don't try and drink enough water. They don't try and hit their protein goals. They're eating willy-nilly, okay? The difference is right there. The difference between a cheat day and a refeed day. Refeed days are you're tracking your calories still because you're trying to hit a certain amount of calories too. Because the thing is, sometimes people do refeed days and not eat enough. And that's a problem too. And we're going to go over that today as well. But you need to make sure you're eating enough, and you also need to make sure you're not eating too much, right? There should be a range. I usually tell my clients anywhere between 1,000 to 1,500 calories more than what I usually have them eating. And I usually have them in like anywhere between a 500 to 800 calorie deficit anyway. So it's not like a huge difference. But that being said, the big thing here is making sure that we are hitting those calories, hitting those protein goals, because a lot of people will just completely dismiss protein goals and eat whatever they want on a cheat day. That is not what we're doing, okay? Refeed days, meaning you're eating higher calories intentionally. This is still part of your diet. You are still dieting, okay? All right, that's a lot of, I feel like people get that idea of cheat day means, oh, I don't have to worry about this at all today. No, no, that's not. That is what gets us screwed, okay? We got to make sure that we are being very aware of what we're putting into our body and how much we're putting into our body and how it's going to affect our body. Because if you want to plan things out accordingly, make sure you have plenty of energy levels at a certain time of day. If you want to make sure that next day you don't feel like you're completely just bloated all day long, but you need to make sure you're doing certain things, okay? On a refeed day, you are going to be a little bit more bloated because you eat more calories, right? You are going to feel a little bit more full. You are going to feel a little bit more fat, okay? But you're also going to have a lot of other things that come with that. And again, guys, I'll do the math for you guys so you can clearly understand like that this will not affect your fat loss in a bad way. It'll actually increase and speed up the process of fat loss for you. But another thing it'll do is it will drastically increase the amount of muscle you have. Guys, the reason I'm able to have abs and be like, oh, I'm 225 pounds. I weighed 223.8 this morning, okay? And I'm a pound down from last week. I actually I'm a little bit more. Last week I weighed, I believe it was 226.5, and that was because I weighed out. I wasn't being great on my water goals, so I was holding a little bit of water weight on that. So I was probably more sitting around like 225, like maybe at the tail end of 226. But that's, again, I'm a pound and some change down from last week, mainly because I utilize this system. It works. And not only does it work, it allows you to build muscle while you're burning fat. I know this to be the case because I post client transformations all the freaking time of this, right? Like you guys have seen me post. I literally posted a client transformation. Well, today's Thursday. Tuesday, I posted Morgan's client transformation. She gained 3.3 pounds of muscle and lost over 5 pounds of pure body fat. We know this because she lost 2 pounds overall and gained 3.3 pounds of muscle according to a body fat percentage test. Even if that's off slightly, she still gained at least 3 pounds of muscle. And if she gained at least 3 pounds of muscle and she lost 2 pounds overall, that means she lost 5 pounds of fat overall. Do you guys see what I'm saying there? So, again, we know and she's not the only one. Okay, I have again, guys, you guys can go look at my page. I have tons of client transformations. I've been doing this for a long time. All right, I have a lot of client transformations. But that being said, one of the biggest things we do to help make that happen is we introduce Refeed Days. Guys, if you don't use Refeed Days, you're going to end up looking like, well, not only you're not going to see the results you want to see, you're going to really struggle to burn body fat. Because what's going to end up happening is you're going to undereat, you're going to lose muscle mass, not body fat, because when you're significantly undereating at a certain point, right? And this goes into play too. If you diet for too long at a time, if you stay in a calorie deficit for too long at a time, your body reduces the amount of testosterone it produces, which is a huge freaking problem. That's not going to make you burn more fat. It's going to make you lose muscle, and it's going to make you gain fat when you overeat on the days you do overeat, which is the exact opposite of what you guys want to do, right? And so if we are struggling, this is why it's so important tracking. I think too many people in their, like when we talk about tracking calories, they think, oh, I need to track to make sure I'm not overeating. That's not the only reason you're tracking. You may overeat a couple days out of the week, but I promise you guys, there's most of you guys, at least 50% of the people I've worked with over the past decade who struggle with burning fat, struggle with eating enough. Okay, so you're not just tracking calories to make sure you don't overeat. You're tracking to make sure you eat enough. And there's a lot of people who are undereating certain days because they think they need to be obviously dieting or however you think dieting works, which is super low calorie intakes, right? And then what ends up happening, you burn off all that muscle. You end up not being able to maintain that kind of a diet because it's not sustainable. You end up binge eating. And then when you binge eat, you gain that body fat back. You guys see what I'm saying? It's a repetitive process, and this is what gets people stuck. So we got to make sure that you guys aren't making that same mistake over and over and over again, because you are clearly putting in effort, but you won't be seeing the results for that effort, and that sucks, right? So we got to make sure we're not doing that. Let's not spin our wheels when you know damn well you're not supposed to be doing that. And another reason why I'm big on this, guys, is Refeed Days are the reason, again, why I can have abs and be over 200 pounds, quite literally. Like, guys, I'm not interested in you guys who I see people post all the time. It's like, oh, I have abs, I work out, and they're like 150 pounds soaking wet. Okay, I'm not interested, and there's not really anyone that's interested in having that body type. Now, again, that doesn't mean you don't work hard, but don't sit here and act like you're at the same level. Okay, you're not. Like, I see people who do that, and again, there are a lot of people out there who are in that weight class who, you know, genetic speaking wise, maybe they're doing really good for where they're at. But don't sit here and act like you're the same as someone who is over 200 pounds, natural, and freaking has abs. I mean, it's just not the same thing. It is not the same thing. And there's a reason for that. Because if you listen to people like that, guys, you're going to have bodies like that. And I know damn well the people who are in my audience, they want more muscle and they want less body fat, okay? More muscle at 150 pounds and you're fucking 5'9" up, right? That's not That's not impressive. That just means you don't eat. That's what that means. That's where under eating will get you. Okay. Now again, it doesn't necessarily, and again, that's not healthy at all either. So this is stuff we got to play in mind, guys, because there is a medium balance here, and I think a lot of people struggle with trying to figure out what they need to do because they don't have an idea of where they're trying to go. Right? You have to have concrete goals. Start with that. If you're trying to burn 20 pounds before the next 3 months, great solid concrete goal with a deadline. That's exactly what you need. What you don't need is something broad, right? Because that really, what that's going to fit, and how's this play into Refeed Days? It plays into Refeed Days because it's going to dictate when you do Refeed Days. Okay, if you need to burn 20 pounds in the next 3 months, or at least that's your goal, then we know how aggressive we need to be with this diet. You guys see what I'm saying here? And again, guys, the reason it is absolutely important, it is just important to include Refeed Days as it is to do to make sure you're not under eating, because it'll do the same thing if you don't introduce it. If you stay in a calorie deficit for too long, you will under eat. It will be a problem, right? What up, Jennifer? I see you in the chat over there. My Facebook live stream's acting a little bit funny, so if you guys over there see me going crazy over there, bear with me. But that being said, again, the reason it's so important for me to do these Refeed Days, guys, is it's going to do a few different things for you, right? One, it's going to get your hormones back in track, which is crucial because again, the same exact thing happens if you undereat on a daily basis as if you stay in a calorie deficit for too long. The exact same thing happens. It's just prolonged out, right? So what happens is testosterone is going to decrease over time. Leptin and ghrelin are going to have this weird balance. You guys don't know what leptin and ghrelin is. Leptin is basically your satiety hormone, and then ghrelin is your hunger hormone. So those are going to go crazy. Now, the thing is, when you're going to experience that more with someone who's dealing with undereating on a daily basis rather than someone who's doing it on a long-term basis. Like I said, like just not doing a refeed day, and that simply is because habit. Right? If you're going like 2 weeks, 3 weeks at a time without a refeed day, well, you just went like 21 days without doing it. You're already in the grind, and you've already kind of set your identity that you don't do that. So, and guys, identity is the way you make things happen. If you identify with your goal, you're going to do it. This is the reason David Goggins, this is the reason David Goggins doesn't need dopamine, and he doesn't even damn near need legs. Okay, it's because he identifies with his goals. A lot of you guys would, if you can identify with your goals, you'd be able to get there a lot faster. But the thing is, here again, guys, it can get you in trouble too, right? It doesn't necessarily mean you're going in the right direction because, again, if you stick in that grind and if you stay going without a refeed day, you're going to decrease testosterone, which again, that's going to affect muscle mass. It's going to affect recovery. It's going to affect literally your bone density. So it's not something you want to play around with. And it's definitely not going to make you more functional. It's not going to make you more athletic. It's not going to make you like more fit. It's going to do the exact opposite of that. So something to keep in mind. It's definitely not going to help you build muscle and burn fat. So something you got to remember. It may help you lose weight, but that weight doesn't mean it's body fat. You guys got to remember that. Weight loss does not equal fat loss. They are two separate things. You've got to understand that. All right. Now, another thing it's going to do, and this is the reason I'm really big about it, it's going to, well, there's two. One, cortisol reset. We're still talking about hormones. So cortisol is another thing, but this plays back into the testosterone thing. The higher your cortisol, the lower your testosterone is going to be. Cortisol is your stress hormone. You need to get used to being stressed out, guys. I'm not going to sit here and act like you need to have no cortisol. You got to have cortisol in your life. It's a necessary hormone, right? You need to learn how to deal with stress. But that being said, if you stay in that stress state all the time, like after I always tell my people anywhere between 7 to 14 days is when you need to have a refeed day. But anytime you're in that zone and you start getting to the point where like you're just, and I say that, guys, I'm in that zone right now. So you're looking at someone who it's time to have a refeed day. And I say that. I'm having my refeed day today. I'm going to Waffle House right after this, y'all. And I'm going to explain my whole habit with this. I've been doing refeed days on Thursdays for a while now for a very particular reason. And again, it works because, again, I'm going exactly in the direction I want to go. I'm down, again, a pound and some change since last week. So it works very, very well. The reason people who keep pushing, and they don't see the results they want to see, it's because they're not implementing this. They're not resetting their hormones. They're not, the most important part, reintroducing glycogen, right? And this is the part that's going to take some time to explain to you guys. But this is whenever you guys do these refeed days, part of the reason it's going to increase your testosterone levels is because you're eating more carbs. Guys, on refeed days, you do need to focus more on carbs. Have you guys ever heard of carb loading? A lot of people think that this is just for people who are doing like long distance running and stuff like that. That's not the case. You definitely need to know what carb loading is for the sake of refeed days, because it's going to be the one day out of the week or even 2 weeks that you're going to be able to really hammer down on carbs to store your muscles up with something called glycogen. I'll do a really quick rundown of this, but glycogen is basically what all carbohydrates turn into your body. They're basically the animal form of starch, if that makes sense. You know how like potatoes have starches. Starch is just like chains of carbs. That's basically what glycogen is. It's chain. Even sugar turns into glycogen. Glucose turns into glycogen. If that makes sense, that's why it's called that, by the way. It's chains of sugar. But that being said, that is the main energy that is being used when you guys are working out. When you guys, and I say working out, not necessarily cardio, but like stuff like lifting weights, like when you're going in the gym doing these workouts, when you guys see me lifting those like heavy, like doing those 500-pound deadlifts, that's all glycogen. I cannot do those lifts without glycogen. If I start dieting and I try and do that same weight 3 weeks out without a refeed day, I will fuck my shit up. Okay, you guys you gotta understand this, because there's so many people out there that like, they know they need to diet, but they don't have this part balanced out. They want to go all or nothing, and that is not how this works, guys. This is a lifetime thing, not a quick fix thing. This is not a 3-month thing. This is a all of your lifetime thing. Okay, you got to remember that, or you're going to get yourself hurt, and then you're not going to try anymore. We got to remember this part, guys. You got to get the balance out. You got to learn how to not motivate yourself based off of just emotions only. Right? What I mean by that is you can't just eat because you're hungry. Duh, we all know that. But that also means you shouldn't starve yourself because you want results. It's not going to get you where you want to be. Right? And a lot of you guys don't know where that line is. And it's because, again, we don't have standards set in place. This is why my system is called the Savage Standard System, guys, because you got to have standards set in place. Once you have standards set in place, you identify with those standards, the results will come, but you have to have some standards set in place. One of those standards is a refeed day, guys. People need refeed days. Refeed days are absolutely crucial. Now, the way this works, and I'll tell you how I do it, right? But again, guys, this is why I'm able to, this is the reason I'm so freaking strong. It's undeniable. It's undeniable I'm strong, guys. I mean, you guys follow my stuff for a reason. You see me do some of this freakish stuff you see me do. Again, 500-pound deadlifts. I can do freaking muscle ups. Oh, well, I was able to do muscle ups when I was 235 pounds, almost 240. Okay? Keep that in mind, right? The reason I'm able to do that, the reason I'm able to have abs at around 220, 225 right now is because I do refeed days. Now, again, if you want to be 150 pounds and just like and have abs but look like a freaking skeleton, be my guest. That's not for me. That's not for the audience I coach. Okay? That's not healthy. That's not athletic. That's not fit. That's just you starving yourself so you like what you see in the mirror, which means you're following feelings. All right? Can't be doing that. That will get you in trouble. And again, not only will it get you in trouble, it'll freaking get you hurt. We need to make sure we're not doing this. But the way I do it is I do it roughly every 7 days. I'll push it off a little bit if I need to, but I try and do my refeed days. And again, I'm going to tell you guys how I do it. For my clients, I will let them know if I feel like they need a refeed day based on their tracking, because I have full access to my clients' tracking. And so I'll just straight up tell them, hey, I think it's time for you to do a refeed day. Let's do a refeed day sometime this weekend, right? So it's easy for my clients. They don't have to think about it very much. But for me, what I do is I do mine on Thursdays because I record my content, most of my content on Fridays and sometimes on Thursday night. And so it's really important that I have this refeed because I'm literally, again, guys, I'm going to Waffle House right after this. I am tracking everything, right? I am focusing on getting my water intake, but I'm doing it because I need to carb up because if I don't know if you guys notice, I'm low energy. Like I want you guys to look at the live stream I did today compared to the live stream I did on Sunday. Sunday, I was way more crazy. I came in with some heat on Sunday, and I was energized. I still have plenty of glycogen still stores in me. I still have plenty of energy. Hormones were still pretty much in check. over the past, I would say 2 days, I can really feel the cut. I can really feel it. My morning walks have been a lot harder. It's the mental energy is a lot harder. Coming up with content ideas is a lot harder. And so this is why I like to do these on Thursdays, is because on Thursdays I tend to do like content ideation where I'll write scripts. I'll write down the ideas and stuff I plan on making. And then on Friday, I'm at that point, I'd already had my refeed day. I should have been drinking plenty of water, so I'm not having too much digestive issues, and I have plenty of energy to be animated on camera. And so that's why I tend to do it on Thursdays, is so that way whenever I do record myself for you guys, because obviously I'm recording myself now, but when I do like my main bits of content, and when I say my main bits of content, just for you guys, a little sneak peek for you guys, my main bits of content are usually they're either my second or third post of the day if you guys are watching on TikTok. On Instagram, they're my main post. On Instagram and Facebook, they're my main post. I'll do the other ones as trial reels, but I know I'm going way too in depth with like how I do this. But again, that being said, the reason I do it that way is like 5 of those videos out of the week, Monday through Friday, need to be like really good effort, really high, like really good energy. And not only that, I got to be very aware of like what I'm saying to you guys, right? Because if I'm not aware of like how I'm wording things in like this type of content, one, I'll lose your attention and you're going to start scrolling again and you're going to miss that information, right? And then two, a lot of it is like if I say that like this is something that only teachers are going to know or coaches are going to understand, but like the way you say things to someone when you're trying to teach them is really important if you want them to comprehend what you're saying. And a lot of this stuff, like a lot of this content is like value content where I'm teaching you guys like, how to do certain things, or some of this content will be, things where I'm trying to deliberately call out pain points that I know you guys are dealing with. Like when you guys hear me start a video with, "Hey, what's going on, you fat bitch?" Right? The people who are going to stick around after that are people who have a little bit of humility and can take a joke, but two, are typically going to be the type of people who feel that way and want to change something about that, right? And then I also typically, when I start the video that way, I give you value on how to change that, right? And so there's a rhyme and reason. If you guys watch my content, like don't think I'm just like some of those videos. Yeah, I'm just turning that thing on and I'm filming myself and I'm going. Some of my best content, my most viral content tends to be where I just turn the camera on and I just start going. But that being said, if I'm actually going to try and give value to you guys, I got to make sure I have the energy to be able to think about what I'm saying, how much energy I'm putting into it, the kind of tone I'm using when I'm saying it. And if I'm in a diet and I'm in a deficit, and if I were to do that today, I could probably muster up like 1 or 2 and then I'm mentally drained, right? And there's nothing I can say or do about that. I can get frustrated about it. And because the thing what'll start happening is I'll start slipping over my tongue. I'll start like messing up the lines. I'll not get the lighting right, or I'll try and rush things. And it's not something I want. When you're talking about content, you kind of need to have a little bit of some boundaries, again, standards there. And, again, I like to have a refeed day to help put me back in charge. Helps me not be as reactive, helps me have more energy for the rest of that day, rather than feeling like I'm going to pass out and want to go to sleep at like 4 p.m., right? And so that's the reason I do those. I do mine every week, right? And so that's not necessarily something you guys have to do. If you want to be a little bit more aggressive with it, like I said, you can go up to like 14 days without doing a refeed day. But you guys got to be very aware when you start seeing the signs of that low energy. You just need to start telling yourself, okay, soon I need to do a refeed day, not a cheat day, a refeed day. You still track your calories. You still make sure that you guys are getting plenty of water in, and you still make sure you're trying to shoot for that protein goal, okay? Which should be easier because you have way more calories, right? But at the end of the day, again, it should still be treated like a carb load day, which means focus on those carbs. I would really try and shoot for, it depends on what your calorie range is, guys, but shooting for like 400 to 500 grams of carbs, which is a lot. And again, it depends on your weight and size and stuff like that. Me personally, I try and shoot for like 500 grams of carbs on like a refeed day. It's not crucial that you like check the amount of carbs you're eating, because at the end of the day, you are going to eat more carbs that day than you usually do. So you will carb load. At the end of the day, you just need to make sure you're getting plenty of calories. As long as you're tracking your calories, you'll be there. Again, for most people, I'll go ahead and tell you guys what my calorie range and stuff is too. But for most people, I'm only going to recommend you go above like let's say that on average you tend to your diet calories is usually around 2,000 calories. I would recommend on a refeed day, you can have anywhere between like 3,000 to 3,500 calories. Still hit your still hit your protein, still hit your water intake, all that good stuff. Still make sure you get a workout that day. I need to make a note on that. Never, guys, you always got to make sure that you're still working out on a refeed day. It's going to be one of your best lifts of the week, one. But two, you need to make sure you're burning off the calories you're eating. You need to not just slumber. And you should be working out every day anyways, but what I mean is like you need to be lifting. I would be doing it definitely on a day that you're lifting or a day right before your lift if you know you're going to be lifting heavy that next day. Because again, your carb loading is going to help you lift a lot more anyways. So there's my take on that. Again, for me, I'm going to be eating anywhere between 4,000 to 5,000 calories a day because again, I train a lot. That's plenty enough for me. I'm in a steep enough calorie deficit to get to, again, that's what I did last week. I lost 1.5 pounds this past week, or a pound and some change, depending on the water intake and stuff. I don't try not to get too crazy with it, but I am seeing a difference as we go down. So it's working very well. If I see anything change, I'll drop that down to like a 4,000 to 5,000 calories or a 3,000 to 5,000 calories. God, 3,000 to 4,000 calories for me. And I know that sounds like a lot, guys, but you're also talking to somebody. Yeah, again, you guys see my content. You see how often I'm training and stuff, and how big I am. Again, I'm as of this morning, 223.8. I plan, hopefully, if everything goes in line, approximately about a month from, not today, on November 7th is my birthday. So about 4 weeks from now, I should roughly be anywhere between 215 to 220, and we should be looking a lot leaner, and I should be having all of the muscle I had from now to then. Because again, the refeed days help with that. They boost that testosterone and they allow your body to keep that muscle mass. So again, if you don't want to look like a twig whenever you lose all this body fat, you need to make sure you're doing this refeed day, guys. It's huge. It's crucial. Make sure you introduce them. And again, if you guys need some help on that, just shoot me a message. I'll hook you up. All right. But that's all you got for today. I'm going to go get me some fucking Waffle House, bro. I haven't had Waffle House in years. And I was just thinking about it this morning. I was like, man, because when you're dieting like this, I don't even know. You start going like, I don't even know what I want to eat. Like, it's not, I don't even think about food like that anymore. I just think about food as fueling me. And so when it's time to actually eat and do something like that, I'm always sitting there going like, I don't even know what I want. And I was just thinking, I was like, man, I haven't had Waffle House in forever. And I bet I could put down some hash browns and some waffles. So I'm going to go do that. I'm going to give you some protein shakes in too. So I'm going to make sure we get that protein in as well. But I'll see you guys on Sunday for the next live stream. You guys have a fantastic weekend. Stay on track. And I'll talk to you guys soon. Peace.